Hey everyone, welcome back to the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Gosh, we got a really good show for you today. We want to also say thank you to our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral Health at 265 State Street in Mount Pleasant. If you know somebody that is battling addiction or looking for a different type of behavioral center, it's not really a recovery center, even though they do deal with addiction, but behavioral center, they work a lot with healing from the inside out. So if you know someone that's looking for something different, they can be reached at 435-462-2781. As I get to say in almost every show, I'm surrounded by a bunch of lovely women here in the studio and also as my guest co-host. So ladies, thank you for being here with us today. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to have a pizza party or something one of these times during one. Or we'll all sit here and have pizza and do a show. That sounds pretty good. We just got to be careful with our chewing because these mics pick up everything. So, hey, anyway, we have a special guest with us today. We have Dr. Taylor. So, Dr. Taylor, thank you for being on the show in such a short notice. I mean, seriously. And I also want to give a big shout out to Nicole Costello for connecting us. So, thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak and be included.
Absolutely. So, tell us a little bit more about yourself, if you would.
So, I'm Dr. Taylor Suval. I'm a chiropractor. I was a massage therapist before living here in Utah, and I didn't know anything about chiropractic. I actually started working for a chiropractor in town as a massage therapist, and that's when I was introduced into chiropractic and got to learn a little bit more about what it was, and decided that that's what I wanted to do. And so I went to school to become a chiropractor. Now here I am.
Nice. Wow.
I'm married. I have 3 children, 3 dogs. We bought a house out in West Jordan, moved back here from Dallas, and just really excited to be what feels like home to me.
So cool. So you said move back here from Dallas. So you are originally from here then?
I grew up in Evanston, Wyoming.
Oh, okay.
And then I moved down to Salt Lake City after high school.
Oh, cool.
Gosh, Dallas to Salt Lake, that's got to be a huge culture shock.
Yeah, you don't realize how much you miss the mountains until you don't have them anymore.
Hey man, I lived in Kentucky for 3 years. I worked for a manufacturing plant here, and in '98 I got transferred there, and I was there a total of 3 years, but I was there for 2 years before I actually came back on vacation to go bow hunting and also to see my daughters. And I tell you what, when we flew over those mountains, I got tears in my eyes. I'm like, I had no clue how much I'd missed these, and I couldn't take my eyes off of them, and still to this day, whenever I'm driving down the road, I'm always looking at the mountains constantly. And I go hike up there all the time now, and I'm just, we're pretty blessed to have these mountains right here in our backyard.
I used to make fun of my dad for talking about, look at the mountains all the time. Look at the mountains. Like, we get it. We live here.
Yeah.
We see the mountains. And now I'm a little bit older, and every time we're driving, we see the vista and everything. I'm just like, look at the mountains. Oh no.
I just said it. That's funny.
What commercials are those where they talk about how we end up being like our parents? And some of those are some really funny, commercials. So we end up talking about the same stuff as our parents. But well, that's interesting that you went from a massage therapist into being a chiropractor. Now,
it kind of makes sense to me.
Does it? Does it?
Yeah. I haven't been a massage therapist or chiropractor, but I've had that work done for many, my whole adult life pretty much. And to me, it's one and the same almost.
Yeah. Well, that hands-on healing really transfers from one to the next.
Well, and I like how you said that hands-on healing, because I never really knew that massage therapy was a health benefit. I mean, really, I didn't. I thought it's just something that, hey man, you're feeling tense? All right, let's just go get naked, get under a sheet, and have somebody rub their hands all over you with some oil. That sounds pretty relaxing to me. But then when I started learning a little bit more about the benefits of it, I mean, it's huge.
It's pretty interesting. When because I started as a massage therapist and then didn't know anything about chiropractic and then moved into chiropractic, and so now I have a little bit more of a full understanding of how all the muscles and the bones and the nerves and everything relate to each other, and it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I bet it is, because I know a couple of the massage therapists that I've had, very, very knowledgeable about your muscles, and there's sometimes when they are like really, really working on a certain muscle, and I carry a lot of my stress and stuff here in my shoulders, and all of a sudden you'll feel that muscle just boom, and you're like, oh damn, it was that far out, but literally it was, and they're just kind of putting it right back where it needs to be. So I can see how the two, now that you guys are talking about it, how it
Probably
works
makes you a
out.
better chiropractor too.
You know, it's
Yeah.
funny. I
Yeah.
went to school thinking that was going to be the case, right? Oh, I have tons of experience doing hands-on work. This is going to be easy. But it actually, I mean, in some ways it was, but it's also made things a little bit more difficult because I'm used to being a little bit more heavy-handed with massage. And with chiropractic, when I'm checking your body and your alignment and things like that, having a softer touch is actually makes some things easier to feel. And so it took a little bit of time for me to not be so heavy-handed. So
Right.
Interesting.
I thought it was going to be a big help, and ended up having to be some extra work on my part.
Relearn something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you do the old-fashioned type of chiropractic? I know chiropractic care has come a long ways, probably in the last 15, 20 years or so. It's not that normal snap, crackle, pop, see you later. It's
So there's the scope of chiropractic is broad, and there's a lot that you could talk about. But so that what you're mentioning is manual adjusting, and that's always something that's going to be part of chiropractic, I think, and that's where you get that snap, crackle, and pop. And what we're doing is we're actually adjusting you, and that sound is not the adjustment; it's just nitrogen gas being expelled. So you can be adjusted without the snap, crackle, or pop, but you usually get them together, which is why they're associated together. But I'm also trained in torque release technique, which is a newer technique of adjusting that is instrument assisted, and that's to really help people who are maybe a little bit more nervous about getting adjusted. It also helps adjust people who are who get real tense and like, oh no, who's gonna do something to me? It's really difficult to adjust when someone's guarded up, and so the instrument allows me to adjust people and deal with all different situations, as well as like children and infants and things like that.
Now, when you say instrument, is it so? I go to Awaken Health. Know the Browns really, really well. Been going to there for, I think a year and a half now. Is it the tool that?
That the integrator that they use as well, the same thing.
Yeah. I think that is so flippin' cool. And I remember when I first started going through it, I'm like, there's no way this works. But I was telling Janessa while we were having lunch that he sits and does this stuff with my feet, and he lifts my leg. And my wife's come with me a couple times. And, he lifts my back legs up, and like my legs are like this. And then he'll go in and hit a few spots, and then he pops here, and then he lifts my legs up, and they both go down. I'm like, there's no freaking way. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And it's so comfortable, and you don't get tensed up. And even when he torques it really hard with certain spots, it's just like someone flips you with their finger,
It's so specific that it's hard sometimes when you look at it like, oh, what's that going to do? But because of how specific it is, it doesn't take we're not moving, we're not like rotating your whole body very much. It's small adjustments that mean a lot, and so it allows us to make those adjustments without a ton of force, and feels like you're being twisted or popped or anything like that.
Yeah, being put
Snapped
in a box.
in
That's right.
Yeah. A contortionist. That's the word I was thinking of. Yeah, I can, and I think a lot of people don't realize how many nerve endings that we have in our body. We have a ton.
7 to 8 trillion.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We
Offhand, something like that.
to be
exact.
when Body World was here, when Body World came in, and that's where people donate their body and they kind of strip it down, and they had stripped down this one body to where all it was the nerves. And I was just so shocked and amazed of all these nerve endings going through your body. And we had a guest on our show once that said, if you attached every nerve in your body from end to end, it would wrap around the Earth and Jupiter 6 times. Now, I don't know where he got that, and because I heard it went around the world 3 times if you connected them end to end. That's what I read, if I remember reading right, at the Body Works. But any of those nerves that have an obstruction or are pinched, it can affect your body in so many different ways, right? It could be it could be headaches, it could be Heartburn. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things, and they call it subluxation.
Subluxation,
Subluxation, right?
which is
yeah.
a fancy way of basically saying a joint that's not moving. And then it's more in the weeds than that if you really get into it. But that's at a real basic level, that's what it means.
Mhm.
And what's happening when that is not moving is there's effects, there's degeneration on the bones start happening, the disc starts degenerating, inflammation happens, and the way it's not moving properly can put pressure on the surrounding tissues and on a nerve. And so we only have about 10 to 15% are actually sensory nerves. So when you feel pain, we feel like everywhere I touch you could feel it. But that's really only 10 to 15%.
Really?
The other
Wow.
80 to 85% do everything else, right? All your internal organs, you don't even feel it.
Wow.
And so that's why people think of chiropractors as like, oh, chiropractor, he does back pain and neck pain, which is true. We do help with that. We do a great job. But we're really not bone doctors. Like, we're doctors of the nervous system. We do more than just spine and joint health. And we don't, so we make sure that your nervous system is functioning properly, and then that's how you affect your gut issues or your IBS or Crohn's disease or chronic ear infections or colic or infertility or erectile dysfunction in men, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's how we affect that.
Because I was told that the day that we're born, we already have our insides all out of whack. Because I remember when my first daughter was born, wife went into labor and she got stuck, and of course they had to do a cesarean, and they called it the Hoover maneuver. I don't know if that's what they still call it, but they called it the Hoover maneuver, where the head popped out and then they stuck this suction cup right on the top of my daughter's head, and I'm watching my daughter's neck stretch, and all of a sudden just kind of come back, and I'm going,
That's not
holy
normal.
crap, you're going to kill my daughter before of course I didn't know she was a daughter still at that time, but I've heard that through other chiropractors that saying everything gets out of adjustments, and that's why I believe, and correct me on this, that's why some babies get very colicky, because there's already central nervous systems that are out of whack. And the system that you guys do now is really easy for infants as well,
yeah.
right? Where you can go in there and start.
Well, so yes, and the nervous system, they have a spine. A baby has a spine just like we have a spine.
Mhm.
It's obviously not as fully developed, right? And you're not racking and cracking an infant,
Right. Racking and cracking. I like this.
Like I just adjusted an infant earlier today, and it's about the pressure you use is about the same amount of pressure you use to check a tomato at the store. You're just very gentle. Everything moves really easy. They're very simple and easy to adjust. But the problem is that it's much easier to raise a healthy child into a healthy adult than to come back when you're 60 and you haven't taken care of yourself and you're all jacked up and you've had surgeries and your rotator cuff's out and your back hurts and your left knee doesn't work and the right one, when it rains, it hurt. Trying to come back from all of that is much more difficult. And that's, not to get too off topic, but that's why we're so passionate about children and perinatal care and taking care of raising a healthy community, because we do not have a healthy lifestyle, generally speaking, in our in today's world.
My youngest baby, actually, he had colic, and I took him to the chiropractor, and it fixed it.
Yeah, a common mantra is, oh, they'll grow out of it, right? You've heard that. Well, there's a reason that your body reacts a certain way, and we try to get to the root cause. Why are you having this issue? Like when someone comes in with pain, like I care about your pain because I'm not a jerk, right? I care that you're hurting, but from a perspective of what I'm trying to treat is I don't care about your pain. I care about what's causing your pain, right? And that's the same thing with any symptom, right? Pain is a red light. Something's happening, right? Or colic, hey, I don't feel good. Something's wrong. And so with any symptom that you have, it's sort of like that. We want to make sure and fix. We want you to feel comfortable, so symptom management is important, but it's also more important to fix the root, or to help you heal the root cause. And I keep saying that fix. I got to be careful because I don't heal anybody. Neither does any other doctor. We don't heal you. We just try to put you in the best position so that you can heal yourself effectively, right?
Yeah.
I actually worked for a chiropractor just last year for about 6 months, and it was like I said, I've been to chiropractors my whole adult life pretty much, but like working side by side and doing all that, it was just so eye-opening, and the craziest things that I would never think about was like, holy cow, like you power of touch.
Oh yeah, power of touch is incredible, and I really like how you said that you guys aren't really fixing it. I mean, the body will take care of itself, right? As long as it is given, I guess, the right. I don't know what's the right word.
Circumstances, the right help.
Circumstances, yeah.
It's just like a cast, right? Your
Yeah.
arm would heal on its own without a cast eventually, but it might look funky, right? So we cast it to try and help it heal as effectively as possible.
Yeah.
But we don't heal it.
Right. Yeah, I think too often, and I can't remember if it was my wife and I think it was Jeanette and I that was talking about it the other day, but I think society has gotten to where we don't look at correcting the problem. You know, we're too busy throwing out the medications. You know, oh, you got a headache? Okay, tell you what, I'll write you a prescription for 1,000 milligrams of ibuprofen. You know, if that doesn't work, we'll try Oxycontin or whatever it may be. You know, I think they're throwing stuff out there way too quick before they're actually digging deep to see, you know, where problems are.
Well, the problem is that everything in balance, or everything in moderation, right? Thank God we have modern medicine, right? If I get hit by a bus, take me to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
The problem is when we are overly reliant and ignore other aspects of our health, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, ibuprofen for a headache is great in circumstances, right?
Yeah.
If I have to get up and go to work and I have a pounding headache, maybe I take some because I just have to go to work, right?
Yep.
The problem is when you say, okay, well, I just have headaches now, so every day I take ibuprofen. Well, maybe that's something that, why do you have headaches every day,
Yeah.
right? It's great for the short term and for symptom management, but if you just have headaches every day or 95% of the day, then maybe you should look at why you're having headaches, because the medication isn't fixing it. It doesn't fix anything. Generally speaking, medication doesn't fix anything. They just cover your symptoms.
Yeah, I think I don't know how many people out there are well tuned with themselves, you know, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I feel like I'm very in tune with my body. I know when there's something that's not right, and I know it. You know, if we have a car and we're driving down the road and we start noticing a squeak, you know, we're gonna really start paying attention. What the hell's going on with this car? Why do I have a squeak? But I think some people will actually ignore, like you were just saying with the headache, they ignore the things that their body's telling them, because literally probably in the last 15 years or so I've really gotten in tune, and that has nothing to do with my wife saying I'm in touch with my feminine side, as she was telling you ladies earlier today. But yeah, I've gotten really in tune with my body, and I know when there's something that's not right. And I've gone back and thought about it, and I'm like, you know, there's so many times that I've really ignored it, and it's turned into worse problems because I was ignoring it. I wasn't paying attention to what my body was telling me.
Oh, well, a pound of prevention is worth a pound of, what is it? Oh my goodness, I can't say it now. An inch of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right?
Okay.
Or a pinch of prevention, however it goes. It's you spend so much money, more money, when you're reactively trying to deal with your health care, right? Something happens, you go to the hospital, and they tell you, oh, hey, this is what you have to do, right? Well, okay, I'll do it, whatever it is, right? Like I took my son to the hospital one time after he was born. He had a spiked fever, and this was before I was a chiropractor and knew anything. And, you know, they charged me $400 for liquid ibuprofen. I was in there for 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I could buy a bottle of ibuprofen for $5 at Walmart, you know? And they charge you, you know, $14 for every nasal evacuation device, which is a Kleenex. You know, every single Kleenex. That's not the real cost of Kleenex. Are you kidding?
I gotta write that down. Nasal evacuation.
Right?
Is that
Check,
what you
check your
said?
bills, and they'll have that.
It's really what it's called.
Yeah,
That's
I'm not.
so funny.
And so you look at that stuff, and you're like, wait a minute. And so there's this really out of touch situation. That's not what healthcare costs. That's not a realistic cost of. And more importantly, looking back, he probably I didn't need to take him to the hospital. A fever is a natural process that your body has. Not. You should never, if you have a fever, go to the hospital. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But generally, it's a natural process to make your body inhospitable to bacteria and virus and stuff. And so we shouldn't try and get rid of a fever. We should support your body to
Help get rid of
through whatever it's dealing
itself,
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's, though, that people have that mindset it's just easier. It's easier to pop a pill or whatever it is than to actually go through the process of healing and finding the root cause. I mean, physically and emotionally, and the two are the same, really.
But that's true. And like I said, the retroactively waiting until afterwards because it's easy now comes with a big cost later. You know, it's like 5 to 7 times, I think, more expensive to retroactively try and fix a problem than if you were taking care of it along the way. And we don't often see that because, like, you're healthy, right? I'm like, oh, you should come in because you're healthy, and so you want to keep you healthy. And you're like, well, I'm healthy. Why do I want to go pay money? I'm already healthy, right?
Yep.
And the problem is that you might feel like you're healthy, but lack of symptoms is not health,
Right.
right? Just like I said, there's only 10 to 15% of your body that is sensory nerves that you can feel like something's going on, which is why it's important to be proactive instead of reactive.
Well, it's the same as when you get older. Well, when you're a kid and you can eat whatever you want and you don't gain any weight or whatever, and then you get older and you're like, oh my gosh, like it all catches up to you. It's the same with, I mean, it's the same. Being proactive about everything is so much better.
Well, and kids get a huge pass, right? Because, oh, they're kids, they'll heal, they'll grow out of it, they'll, they're good to go, they're resilient. Yeah, you hear all that stuff, and which is, I mean, it is true in a little bit, right? They do heal fast and they're resilient, they do grow. But look at all the people that have issues, you know, when you turn 21, 22, 23, and you look at your spine, I'm like, oh, this degeneration that you have takes up to 10 years to show any sort of symptoms. You're 21. Well, 10 years went by somewhere, and you were 11 and 10 and 9. Look at our kids. My kid plays football and baseball, and he falls and gets hit all the time. If I got hit like that, I'm just, leave me down there, you know? Like,
Exactly.
like
Stick an IV in me.
and so it's important to have a sort of a healthy mindset in general, and then you don't have to deal with all the problems on the back end when you're 40 or 45 or 50. And, you know, men are the worst. We're just the worst. Like you was talking about, I've ignored
we're
it.
stubborn sons of
You
guns.
see guys coming in there, do you have a problem with your leg? Well, yeah, but my other one works just fine, so I'm just going to keep dragging it
I'm
behind me.
overcompensating.
Yeah, you know. You're like, oh, okay.
That's just like my fiance. He hurt his shoulder and his rotator cuff a few months ago when we were at the gym, and then he was like, nah, I'll be fine. And so then just a couple weeks ago he hurt, well, I guess it was last week, hurt it really bad. And so then we went to my chiropractor, and he finally was like, okay, fine, and he put it back in. But at this point now it hurts more than it would have if we went when I said, because it's starting to try to heal, but it's healing out of alignment. And so now he's like, can hardly use his arm. I'm like, it's just because it's healing, babe. It'll be fine. But, you know, you let it go for so long, and it's going to be worse when you get it
Like
fixed.
Dr. Taylor said, we get so stubborn. I mean, I know when there's something wrong with my body, but there was a time where, I don't know, it's been a few months ago, but I was having this pain right underneath my pec, my left pec. And I mean, it was painful enough to where I was in the living room, I was just pacing back and forth and just holding my chest. And of course my wife wakes up and she's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, man. And I was having a hard time breathing, and she's like, are you having a heart attack? And I'm like, no, I'm not having a heart attack, you know. But anyway, dealt with it. Finally was able to get some sleep, went to work again the next morning. I was fine. Had to take her to a physical therapy appointment, and while I was waiting, all of a sudden I could feel this pain coming on again. And I mean, this time it was hitting me, and I got up and I went out in the hallway, and I was pacing back and forth in the hallway, and they have this little window, and she saw me pacing, and she come out and she goes, are you ready for me to take you to the emergency center now? And she didn't say it kind of like in that snobby way, but that's how it seemed to me. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready now.
I can't breathe.
and literally, by the time we got there, I mean, I was in major pain, and I was only taking little breaths like that. And as soon as I walked in and they saw me, I mean, that's the quickest I've ever got through an ER. I mean, they had me back there, my shirt was off, they're hooking frickin' wires up to me, you know, because they were thinking I was having a heart attack. Well, my heart was fine. What it ended up being was a little teeny blood clot worked its way up in my lung. And when they found it, and the doctor says, I got good news and bad news, he goes, I'm like, well, what's the bad news? He goes, well, you have a blood clot. That's why you're in so much pain. And I says, well, what's the good news? He goes, oh, it's just a baby one. I'm like, man, if that was a baby one and it hurts that bad, I can't even imagine having a medium one.
Seriously?
I mean, because it was so flippin' bad. I mean, I've got a high tolerance for pain, but that was pushing it that day. And they were putting the morphine in me and everything just to try to get me to relax, but I couldn't move. But that was one that that one scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
I bet,
know?
yeah.
I'm coming up on 59, but I'm thinking, oh, great, man. I mean, I've seen my doctor more this year than I have my whole career. My whole career. I mean, he's like, I've never seen you this much. Usually if I walked in, he's like, what the hell brings you here? I haven't
he's
seen
like,
you
"You
like
ain't
a
Yeah. What's your name again?
Yeah.
Something
Let me check the
bad just
chart,
happened.
I brought you a cupcake, but
Well, and that's just to piggyback one more time off of what you just said. The first sign of a heart attack, do you know what it is? It's a heart attack. So, right before you have the heart
There's no
attack,
buildup.
were you healthy? Well, no, right? 5 minutes before you had a heart attack, were you healthy? No, but you didn't feel like anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of the symptom I was talking about. Just because you don't have symptoms doesn't mean you're healthy, which is why proactive healthcare is so much. Proactive is being so important.
And I like that you say the proactive, because I do my best to hit the gym 5 days a week. Matter of fact, I'm going on my first hike this Sunday for the year, getting ready to head up in the mountains and get up there. But there are things that can happen inside your body that you really don't know that's happening there. I mean, like that blood clot. I mean, I had no clue.
Right.
Just all of a sudden one night it just flipping hit. But if you go back and think about it, it could be worse. If I didn't eat healthy, and of course they don't really know, from what I understand, they don't know what causes blood clots. They don't know if it's really diet or whatever it may be, but
Genetics or whatever.
genetics, yeah.
I'm sure it's multi-factor,
Yeah.
but
And there was a time when I was at the gym and I was doing the stairs and my right leg went completely numb. I'm like, the hell? And I thought, this is really weird. So I just, as a guy, shook it off, and I started noticing it was numb all the time. It was getting to where it was numb all the time. So I went to my doctor, and that was one of the times he's like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, hey, doc, my leg's going numb. And he goes, oh, you probably have a pinched sciatic. So I got a hold of my friends who do Awaken Chiropractor, and they're like, yeah, come on in, man. We'll take a look at it for you. And they did their treatments, and within about a week it went away. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But between my knee and my foot, I could tell there wasn't something right. And right behind my knee, right where your leg bends, I'm like, there's just something is not right here. And they basically was still thinking it was a pinched sciatic. And at first I was agreeing with them. Then I'm like, no, there is something else. There's got to be something else. And we kept talking about some things. And Dr. Brown, he's like, I don't know. He says, I think you should get an ultrasound on the back there, because he goes, what we've done to adjust, he says, that should have taken care of everything, and it's not, so there's something else going on. But they ended up doing an ultrasound and found out I have a little blood clot
Oh my gosh.
right behind there. So that's why when I would go hiking, my foot would go numb on my hikes, and then coming down, it was extremely painful. Not as painful going up, but coming down, it was really, really painful. Like somebody was shoving toothpicks in my heel, but yeah. And again, I'm just shaking my head, because I've done my best to stay in shape and eat right, but still you never know. So having that preventive health stuff that you're talking about, I think, is huge for all of us. And I would suggest start at an early age. Don't wait till you're in your mid-50s.
I agree.
Yeah. You concur?
I concur.
Well, it kind of reminds me, even our guest earlier, Chris, was talking about, teaching at a young age and starting now.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like we're talking about preventative, but for mental. And then we're talking about preventative for physical. And it's so interesting how our society, with so many things, wants us just to put a Band-Aid or pop a pill, when really, like, there are so many tools, so many things out there to teach us to take a different path. Like what Chris was saying, trudge through the grass and make a different path. It's going to be uncomfortable and hard and to remember in the beginning. He's like, but eventually you'll create that new path. And it's the same thing even with our health.
Yeah.
Yeah, our mental health included. Like one of my sons is really grumpy in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a real grouch, and so I talked to my wife and I was like, what can we do? You know, because you got to practice being happy in order to be happy, right? And have good attitude, but it's hard when you don't feel like it, especially if you're a kid.
Yeah.
It's hard to understand that. So I was like, okay, we're gonna give him a chore. We're gonna pay him every morning that he's like cheery and happy. That's all you have to do. You can earn some money every morning just pretending to be happy, because if he pretends long enough, then he's gonna start being like that. And so that's something we're, you know, trying to do to help him practice a healthy mindset and positive outlook and start the day off right. When you start off in a negative attitude, then you have to try and overcome that throughout the day, you know.
Yeah, well, it takes hours.
Yeah. Have you tried coffee?
So actually, don't drink
Works for
coffee.
me.
Right?
Give my son a latte in the morning. Here you go.
Have him bouncing off the walls in no time, right?
Yeah.
Take a lap around the house.
I'm sure his teachers would appreciate that.
Yeah, I love it.
He'll be at school. He'll crash by the time he gets home.
That's
It's fine.
better. Yeah, perfect. Time to nap as soon as he gets there.
Give him a latte and then hand him the vacuum. Your wife would love it. Yeah. When I was going through your website, I was noticing that you mentioned addiction stuff in there. When we come back from the commercial, I'd like to get into a little bit more about
I'd love to talk about
that,
it.
how chiropractic care can help with that, because I don't think a lot of people realize there are other ways out there to help you get through, you know, whatever it is that you're battling. And we are big believers here on this show, and it's because of our incredible guests that we've had on that you know, they've all shared that they've had to heal from the inside out. A lot of those are feelings and trauma and things that's happened, but I would think whatever else is going on in there too with your body as far as your nervous system and cells or whatever, that if you're adjusting those and getting those in line, how that could also help. So
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it.
okay, all right guys, hey, stay with us, we will be right back.
Do you or a loved one or someone you know struggle with addiction?
Have you lost hope, or are you struggling to make connections?
Have you been to other treatment programs and have yet to reach your full potential?
We are Matter Behavioral Health. At Matter Behavioral Health, we understand substance abuse treatment works best when the client is taught ways of identifying for themselves their own dysfunctional views of their life that trigger their self-limiting beliefs and leads back to addiction.
We help you get to the core of what's causing your addiction.
We offer inpatient and outpatient services. To find out what's best for you, call us at 435-462-2781. That's 435-462-2781.
Don't wait, give us a call. Your life depends on it. Call us at 435-462-2781.
Have you ever been in a car accident? Do you know what to do after being in a car accident? Are the insurance companies going to take care of you? Hi, I'm attorney Rick Heaton with the Law Office of Bobby Udall. I will help you through the process and answer all of these questions. I give every single client my cell phone so they can talk to me whenever they need. Let me deal with the insurance company so you can focus on getting better from your injuries. Call me at 385-330-0226. Again, my cell phone number, 385-330-0226. Don't call the insurance company first. Call attorney Rick Heaton at 385-330-0226.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, Go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the other side of addiction. We're here with our special guest today, Dr. Taylor. Again, we want to say thank you to our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral Health in Mount Pleasant, 435-462-2781. Definitely highly recommend these guys. So during the first part of the show, there was some really good information about some health stuff, our nervous system and preventive health. But one thing that really caught my eye when I was reading on your website was how chiropractic health can help with addiction. And I am just really curious of how that works.
Yeah, well, I didn't even learn about it until sort of on my journey into chiropractic. I found out about it as a corollary. And so torque release technique actually, with the integrator, was one of the pioneers in this industry. They were doing a study unrelated to addiction, just about chiropractic in general and health benefits, and they were doing it at a recovery center. And so they used the patients as in the study. Mm-hmm. And they had 3 groups. One group that just got the treatment from the facility, another group that got a sham adjustment, so the integrator with just no force, so that just made the sound, but there was no thrusting delivered or anything, and then a third group that got the adjustments. And they found out that 99% of the people that got the adjustments completed their recovery successfully.
Wow.
75% that got the sham adjustment, so placebo, completed it. And then the average of the recovery center, which is about 56-ish%, that didn't get anything, completed the recovery with no additional therapies.
Really?
And then that study's been replicated a few times with different people in different situations, so that it's pretty, I shouldn't say common, but it is accepted that chiropractic care can help with addiction. Wow. And the way that, we don't know exactly the mechanism for it 100%, but the prevailing theory is that because chiropractic affects the nervous system, it can break that, people that suffer from addiction, have sort of a loss of well-being. They don't feel well in whatever sense, mm-hmm. until they get their fix, right? Which is such a hard problem, or they keep falling off the wagon because they good for a little while, but they just can't feel well long term, and then they look for something to feed that need, right? Yeah. And chiropractic can interrupt that brain reward cascade system and allow you to feel well, which is what is the prevailing theory, is how that works.
Wow, that is
so we don't know why it works,
yeah.
but we know that it does work.
I have a thought on that too, just because I have battled a lot of things, but it's probably also that sense of self-care and mentally what it does to a person. Because I know when I'm going to the chiropractor and I want to be more healthy, and my brain just it releases that serotonin and dopamine, yeah. and all that stuff that gives you that sense of I'm doing something good for myself.
Yeah, well, we know that
that's a good thought. I like that thought. Yeah.
When you get adjusted, your body releases encaphalons and endorphins, mm-hmm. and it makes you feel good, which mm-hmm. is why people self-adjust, right? People crack their knuckles in their neck all the time because it feels good. You get a release. Mm-hmm. And so part of that is definitely part of it. It allows them to sort of restructure their brain, just like you were mentioning about cutting a new path through the grass, right? Mm-hmm. When you have to build those pathways, and it can be difficult at first, but once you have built it, then you can walk it.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good, I like, yeah, what you guys are saying there, because Janan and I, we did a talk at Corner Canyon Health Center yesterday afternoon, and we were even talking about the self-care, how important that is, because you do feel better when you have that self-care. I know doing a massage once a month, yeah, it's once a month, but I tell you what, it sure the heck makes you feel really good that you're doing something for mm-hmm. yourself. And healthcare, self-care can be literally anything, right? Doesn't mean you got to go do something expensive, by having a massage or having a chiropractor, adjustment, even though it's very beneficial. But self-care can be, maybe for like ladies, they enjoy having bubble baths and just having the candles. That's self-care. The bath bombs or whatever. Me, I like going on the hikes. That's kind of like my self-care. I love getting up in the mountains and,
Well, and it's all that, it's all connected. Everything's connected, from our bodies to our minds to our souls. Like, it's once we know we're doing something good for ourselves, and the rehab process in and of itself is good, but then that extra step of having that adjustment, and it makes your body feel better, and it makes you move differently, and it makes your mind start to think differently, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to go do this for me, and this is going to help me. Then mentally and emotionally, you're like, oh, I'm clearing that too.
With you saying that, Dr. Taylor, why the heck aren't you guys in recovery centers? Because now they're changing themselves to like health centers instead of the recovery, which I really like. I'm glad that they're switching that over. But
so there's and this is maybe a little bit of inside baseball, but there's like two sort of factions inside chiropractic. There's neurologically based chiropractors who believe, or I shouldn't say who believe because we all believe, but who are focused on trying to help the whole body, right? And there's another faction that are much more purely musculoskeletal based, and there's a reason for that. So if you come to me with, you say, hey, I've been having these gut issues, can you help? I say, well, we can see what we can do. We're going to make sure your nervous system is working properly and you're aligned, and then once that's working properly, we tend to see results with things, but I can't promise anything, right? It's not like I can, oh, you have a gut issue, I'm going to adjust your mid-thoracics and that's going to fix it. It doesn't work that way. So you can't promise anything, but you tend to see it. And so we build as a neurologically based chiropractor, and the Browns, for example, at Awaken Health, they do the same thing. We focus on that because we see the results. Although we can't promise the results, we tend to see them. Whereas in musculoskeletal chiropractic, we're much more, you have your shoulder out, I can put your shoulder back in, right? Anytime your shoulder goes out, I can do the same maneuver and it's going to come back in, right? And so those are much more specific and like, A, then B 98% of the time, right? And so that's why there's sort of these two ideas on how to do chiropractic, where we're more holistically, neurologically based, is more holistically focused on your health, right? You're not going to go see a musculoskeletal chiropractor unless you have an injury, because then why else would you go?
right.
Well, we're like, you have other issues. Maybe you want to make sure your children are raised healthy, have a healthy pregnancy, less painful delivery, any of these other issues that we talked about. We support that through making sure that your body is functioning the best that we can make it function, right? And so that one reason is because of that. So there's this sort of split. And so if you talk to someone, and I should say as a chiropractor, as a profession, we are terrible about explaining what we do, right? That's why people are like, what does a chiropractor do? I don't know, pops your back pain, neck pain, I guess. That's right, people will tell you that.
Yeah.
And then I say, we're actually neurologically based and, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, really? I never even knew. And that's why we're not, because we don't communicate well as a profession. And then it's even a smaller portion of the profession that is taking advanced techniques or trainings to even be able to help or deal with addiction and things like that. So it's not like it's not like every single chiropractor you talk to is going to be able to talk to you about this. A lot of them don't know. It's just like anything.
Right.
There's just too much to teach everything in school. You have to learn, take outside classes. If you want to learn more, you have to do that yourself. The onus is on you as a chiropractor. And so if you haven't been exposed to it or chose not to take those classes through ignorance or because you didn't want to or whatever the reason, then you don't know. And if you don't know, how are you going to tell anybody else about it?
Yeah, that's true. I just think if someone does know, I think that would be a great avenue to go down, because it's a struggle, for those. And like you said, during the break, you've had addiction in your family. It's an everyday struggle, for the folks and also the family members who are dealing with it. But I would think just another tool to put in your tool belt that could possibly help, I think would be such a huge benefit.
Well, it's always, hindsight's always 20/20. And looking back, I think to myself, some of these situations with my parents and some of my family members who had, issues with drugs, and you think, man, and they're trying hard, going to AA and NA and just really trying hard but continually failing, you think, would that, maybe they found a neurologically based chiropractor who had any idea what they were talking about or doing, be able to adjust them, to help them when they were trying so hard to stay clean and stay healthy, but just needed that something else, you know? And so it's, you know, you can't change the past, obviously, but you look back and think, wow, what my life might have been, or their life specifically would have been, how different that might have been, you know? And that's, and, you know, just me personally, everyone has, not everyone, but a lot of people have stories like that, you know?
Well, I think, like, even when I look back at mine and my husband's recovery, when we were going, like, I didn't even know, like, I needed the therapy. I thought, oh, he has the addiction. That's his thing. I don't need the help. And then when we got going into that, it was like, no, actually, you need just as much help as he does, just in a different way. But then, you know, things start coming, and, you know, you learn about these little things here and there, and this awareness grows, and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known this way back when I started, you know? And so it's like, even what you're saying about the chiropractic work, like, I had no idea, like, back when we were in the process, like, very, very beginning of addiction, that health, like, physical health had anything to do, or self-care, or boundaries, or anything, you know?
Yeah.
Just building that awareness, saying, hey, these things can help immensely with addiction recovery. We just need people and to inform and help be aware of what options are out there, because, you know, how, like you said, like, it needs to be communicated better. Like, how would we have known that chiropractic work could work or benefit someone with an addiction, you know?
Right.
And
Well, a lot of chiropractors don't even know.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
that's probably
what
true.
you were saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think podcasts like this and conversations like these are so important, because there's such a wide variety of people that are listening to it at this point that it is starting to grow. How could we have known so many things? Like, there's so many things.
Yeah.
But we learned through those challenges that we went through, and you know, other people have gone through. That's how we learn, and that's how we got to where we were. That's how someone even said in the first place, I wonder if this would help addiction.
Yeah.
And studied
Yeah.
it, you know, because then they saw someone, you know, failing or hurting or whatever, and they wanted to help make them better.
Well, and it works as that has that domino effect, I think, you know, and you guys were just touching on it, like with this show, and we've had such a different variety, you know. When Jeanette and I was out talking to Corner Canyons yesterday, I was talking to the clients, and I said, you know, I don't have a clue what any of you guys are going through, because I've not battled the addiction. I don't have a clue. Now, you know, if you put Janessa in front of me, or put Sylvia in front of me, you know, or yourself, we can relate. As we share these stories, other people are hearing it. Now they're sharing stories, and it's just helping one another. And I would think with our listeners hearing this, saying, hey, chiropractor, you know, it could help with the addiction, to where maybe someone will hear this and go, maybe we should have you come into our recovery center or our health center and just do a little talk, or send a little video or something, you know, do a Facebook video or something and send it out there to let people know. And let's say somebody does, and you treat somebody who's battled addiction and they're successful in their battle, well, I would think they would tell somebody that they cared about, you know, and then pretty soon that domino effect just starts happening, where more and more and more people are.
Well, communication is the key for sure.
Yeah.
I think it helps on both sides, though, too, like you said, because I've been on both. I've been the addict. I've also been on the other side and been the other person. And I've done chiropractic care, and massage work was actually my biggest thing to help me get through a lot of emotional trauma that I was dealing with. But chiropractic care has also helped me with both things. So while I was going through it and while I was on the other side, it was one of those helps. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe you should look at reaching out to some recovery centers if you know a little bit more about it. Yeah.
You know, it's a good idea, and we're our space isn't actually open yet. We got delayed because of some construction.
Yeah.
And so we finally just this week got a sort of more of a hard date which is the middle of April.
Nice.
And so we've sort of been treading water a little bit, hanging out, like, okay, once we open, then we can start trying to communicate more and doing more health talks. And so now that we know, we are actually interested in trying to talk to people and help raise awareness about various health issues and how chiropractic can help. You know, it's not the be all end all, you know.
Right.
It's not a
Yeah.
magic bullet for
Yeah.
everybody's situation, but
It's a
it
piece of
helps
the
a
puzzle.
lot of people. You know, there's a joke in chiropractic when you're going through school that, oh, what are you gonna name your practice? Oh, Last Chance Chiropractic. Because so often people will try everything else and then come try
It's so
chiropractor.
true.
And so, and it's unfortunate sometimes because, you know, there are good chiropractors and there are bad chiropractors, just like there are good doctors and bad doctors. And I tell people when they tell me they've had something happened, I say, oh, I'm really sorry that happened. Have you ever had a bad haircut? Well, do you,
That's a
do you
good way
still
of
get
putting it,
do
yeah.
you still
Yeah,
get haircuts? You know, oh yeah, I just find
Exactly.
someone different. Well,
Do a little more research.
it's just like, well, it's unfortunate because, you know, we're supposed to, it's sort of a different standard than like a hairstylist, right? But you want to do your research and find somebody you trust. And, you know, not every chiropractor is made the same. You know, I'm, you know, as good as I like to think I am, I can't help everybody. You know, there are people that come to see me that just maybe I'm unable to help for whatever reason. And then maybe they go over to the Browns and then he helps people, right? It's not just like you pick doctors that you feel like help you, medical doctors, right? Chiropractors are the same way. And we just really, my wife and I, when I say we just are so passionate about trying to have a communication so that people can know, right? What we want more than anything for everyone is to be able to make an informed decision. And you can't make an informed decision for your health unless you have, or whatever form that takes, mental health or physical health, unless you have information, the best information.
Well, it's the same thing that you were saying as being proactive in your healthcare and yourself, like being proactive in those conversations and starting them and reaching out to other places saying, hey, like this is a new avenue that probably not a lot of chiropractors are in, and reaching out to those facilities and places and just educating them, because education is huge. And the worst they can
Yes.
say is no or thank you and
Right.
we'll get back to you, which you know what that means.
Right.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there, Shalise, when you were talking about, you know, the communication and just getting people to understand. You know, I do sales also for my brother for his concrete business, and I'll go out with, you know, a potential customer or client, and we'll talk about stuff, and I'll educate them on concrete. You know, I'm just not there to sell a job. I'm there to educate them, and I don't know how many times I've been told, you're the only contractor that's ever told me this. It's like, well, it's because we want you to know. You know, people look at concrete as it's concrete, something that dries and it's hard and you can drive on it and walk on it. You don't realize that the quality of concrete in the past 25 years has diminished. I mean,
Significant.
yeah, it's not like you can pour it and like up in the avenues, you know, these driveways and sidewalks were poured back in the 1920s and they still look freaking pristine. You know, concrete isn't that way anymore. So you have to now take care of your concrete. You have to, you know, make sure that you seal it every other year, and you know, and I mean, there's so many different factors. And when you're out there educating people like you've been educating us today with how it can and the studies behind it with, you know, with addiction and that, to me that's huge. You know, gosh, I mean, it's just like my daughter who's a doula. We were talking about doulas and midwives. You know, I mean, she educates people all the time. You know, she's written a book about the VBAC stuff and educates people, because the old-fashioned way of, oh no, you can't have vaginal if you've ever had a C-section. That's a no-no. Well, really, no, it is possible, and it's been proved. You know, so that education is really helping a lot of people, and I think if that's an avenue that you decided to go down, I think would be very helpful for a lot of people.
Well, something that kind of going back to like how, you know, one doctor or one chiropractor or even a therapist might not be the right one, but someone else will. You just have to keep trying and educating and going forward with that, even if you don't find that person right off the bat. I feel like so many people feel like, oh, I had one bad experience, therefore never again, you know?
Yeah.
And my husband and I, when we were going through therapy, I personally went through 12 different therapists before I found the one that I was like, wow, he's the ticket. Like, he's helped us so much. But before, like, when we very first started getting to therapy, we're like, 12-step groups will be good enough. And then we found out, no, those are good support, but it's not therapy. And then we're like, okay, well, we're just going to go to some, family, marriage and family therapist. And they're like, no, you need to find someone specific. So we kind of started, like, educating, climbing that ladder, like, you gotta, it took forever. I mean, it would have been so nice if someone said, here, go to someone very, very specific, but we wouldn't have known that we needed someone that specific until we had gone through all that,
Yeah.
But now that I feel like so many more people are talking about it, even like we started 6 years ago, and I feel like, I mean, we weren't looking for it, but I don't feel like hardly anybody was very open
about that.
Yeah,
like
when I started opening up about it, everyone was like, oh my gosh, like, how could you say that? And it was really embarrassing for family members and everything, and we're like, we don't care. But I just feel like there's been this shift, and it's been opening up so much more, which I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool because now, like, someone can get on Facebook or Instagram or whatever and see the podcast and be like, did you know that chiropractic work can help for addiction? I bet you a lot of people didn't know that,
Oh, yeah.
How cool is it that we're actually talking about it? We're actually informing people about it. I think it's so awesome and incredible.
And you're right, things definitely have shifted. You can see, I forget the exact number, but something like 225 people a day were dying from opioid overdoses, right?
Yeah.
And it's this whole circle that's connected, right? From, well, why do you addicted to opioids, right? Well, because they, back pain is a big one, right? So they get prescribed some sort of an opioid from the medical doctor because you need to cover your pain up, right? Cover the symptoms. So instead of going to, so that's the route they took, right? Get a medication, so now you're addicted, right? Then something like 80% of people that were on heroin started because the opioids are too expensive, and so now they're on heroin, right? And now you're addicted, and then so there's this whole circle of following all the way through from a legitimate health issue, right? You hurt yourself shoveling snow, and now you were addicted to opioids, and it's this whole tragic pathway where everywhere, not to, just to chiropractic, there's lots of different avenues, but if you went to chiropractic in the first place, for example, and maybe they could have helped you, then you stop that all the way through, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
They did a recent study that people that had an acute back pain situation that went to a surgeon first required surgery 47.5% of the time.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Jeez,
people that suffered a similar acute back pain situation that went to a chiropractor required surgery only 0.5% of the time.
Wow.
And that's because, if you go to a chiropractor, you're going to get chiropractic. If you go to a surgeon, you're going to get surgery, right? And that's not always true, and that's not fair to paint everybody exactly with the same brush, but that's generally true.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate how in our society today we go from, you have an issue? Let's go to the most extreme options available, right? Heavy addictive medications and surgery versus, a gentle and specific chiropractic adjustment, It's just really unfortunate. That is the path that things travel sometimes.
I think too, like, we have such a competitive mindset as a society. Instead of doctors and chiropractors, I know some do, work together.
Oh yeah.
Then rather than that happening, because that's the way I did. I had a really bad back injury as well, and like I was able to do both. And it really helped my healing process. I mean, I still have stuff from it, but it was like both.
Absolutely.
But not all chiropractors will do that, and definitely not most doctors will say you should try chiropractic care along with your physical therapy, because that's how you strengthen all of it. And like, we are just so competitive in our, like, no, it's my way or no way. That's not how we work.
That's right.
And I wish that more people had that. Like, even you said at the beginning, like, there's a time and place for everything. There's a balance. There's finding that happy medium. We don't have to fight each other. We can all help each other.
And so, it's funny because it's all about communication, right? Like, I've spoken to doctors who, have no idea about anything that chiropractic can do, and vice versa, right? I guess not vice versa, because medical doctors have sort of cultural authority and everyone knows what a medical doctor does, right? But it's all about communication. And if you can communicate and explain what you're doing and why you're doing what you're, like, from a doctor's perspective, treatment plan, then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But if no one has said anything, then nobody knows.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate that you get that sort of fighting like you're talking about, when really we should be working together. Everyone should be cooperating, right? Because if you're a patient, our goal is not you get better my way, it's that you get better, right? And whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And whatever help you need that's going to support you, because everyone's different, like you said. It's not a magic bullet.
Yeah.
Well, that's how the Sackler family got the OxyContin out there. They hit the small mining towns where, those guys, man, they bust their butts. That is a hard job. And, I'm sure they get their aches and their pains. And here they come out with this OxyContin that is going to be, it's going to cure pain, chronic pain. And they hit the small towns where probably they don't have the other means of going to a chiropractor or going to somebody else to see what's actually causing it. They went to these doctors and got them giving out these free samples, and then next thing you know, and again, I watch Dope Sick on
Dope
Hulu.
Sick, that's right.
Dope Sick you will
change your life.
You will just sit there and just shake your head going, I cannot believe. And
people think it's pure fiction. It's not.
No, it's all true. I mean, I got goosebumps thinking about it. And what's really sad is other drug companies followed the Sacklers, and now they're doing the same thing. And society is making the drug companies, and not all doctors, because there's some really good doctors out there, but some doctors, man, we're paying for all their vacations and their nice homes and all that because we are just take a pill.
Well, there's a reason that the average time that a patient spends face to face with a doctor is less than a minute.
Yeah.
I believe it's less than 30 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not 100% sure on that. There's a reason why, an obstetrician has $100,000 of malpractice insurance, like on January 1st for the year, right? That they have to cover before they have any kind of a profit. Well, I can't spend an hour and a half with you if I have to cover that kind of low, debt. There's more reasons than just that, but that's just one example, right?
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate. Chiropractor's insurance for the year is like $3,000 or something. Like
you have 4 visits for the whole year.
Well, no, I mean that's how much insurance charges us because we're just so safe and effective. Versus like an obstetrician who's giving birth, there's a lot of issues that can go wrong, and so they require a much higher amount of insurance. But it just puts things into perspective, because people will talk about, oh, I had a friend who got hurt, or I got hurt from chiropractic, and which happens sometimes.
We were just talking about that.
But the statistics don't bear out the number of stories that you hear. The insurance company, I promise you, is not trying to do us any favors. So for them to only charge, I pay like $130 a month for my malpractice insurance. That's it, because the chance of you getting hurt with chiropractic is so low. That's the most they can charge you, right? So there's a reason for those types of figures,
Wow. Yeah, I think the system needs to be completely looked at again. And yeah, we had a gentleman on the show, Ed Bish, who is out of like the New Jersey area, and his son died of an overdose of OxyContin. It's the first time he ever heard of OxyContin is when his son died.
Oh my gosh.
And he's been fighting the Sacklers with a bunch of other people, and he took a break from it for a little bit, but I think it was 2018. Now he's back full board into it, and I think there's some stuff finally going down. I think they're going to finally start holding them
They make
accountable.
it so impossible.
They make it impossible.
Like,
Yeah.
It's really
oh, man.
Yeah.
there's a lot when you start getting into it,
Yeah.
a lot of the political ramifications and things like that. You start, all of a sudden people are like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I just followed the thread all the way down the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
And it's, some people are a little more out there than others for sure, but it's really a way to disallow you as part of the conversation, right? Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to listen to anything that you have to say anymore, which,
Don't question my authority.
that too, right? That's a big one, right? Authority. I love that online, right? People are like, oh, are you a doctor? Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I am a doctor. But even if I wasn't, that doesn't change the information.
Yeah.
The information is either true or it's not true, irrespective of my education.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that everybody comes down. Well, for one, like so many people look at doctors as gods, basically. Like, they know what they're doing. That's the final say. When there's doctors that say the wrong thing all the time, and it's okay to question your doctor. And
Your default position should be skepticism.
Absolutely. And then the same thing happens with science. Like, science is, I get what science is, but it's also evolved just like all of us. Like, if science was what it was 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, even, we wouldn't have what we have. So how, like, questioning science is okay too. That's
so
that's where it's like chiropractic care, like, that is okay. Like, people though are still stuck 20 years ago when they didn't know what it was, and so they're still scared.
Well, it's like the basic of science is questioning. That's the whole premise of it, right? And it's so ironic that you hear that.
Yeah. So
questioning and knowing.
That could be a whole other show too.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
We'll have to bring a scientist in.
The medical degree, the medical schooling that a chiropractor goes through is almost identical to a medical doctor up to the first 2 years, and then it sort of splits into different more specialties and stuff. And obviously a medical doctor has a residency and they have further follow-on training, but the basic first 4 years is pretty similar. And I can tell you there are people that I went to school with that are the same as in medical school, that just because they're a doctor does not mean that they're know-it-all, be-all, end-all. I promise you that. You should ask questions, right? And what is it? The truth likes to be investigated, the lie doesn't, right? So please.
Well, and that expectation for doctors, I feel bad sometimes because, like, you go and they're like, "Fix me, doc," and you're like, "I'm just giving you my best guesstimate," like, I don't
best
really,
I can do for you.
And which I appreciate, like, they're definitely there, but, like, I don't know, they only have 5 minutes with you, and I'm having this pain. Oh, well, it could be these 3 things.
Yeah.
It's like, well, let's figure it out, but okay, you have to set another appointment and get all these tests,
Yeah.
which I'm grateful for, but at the same time, it's like, maybe that expectation is so high, that we just go in there expecting them to know it right then. Whereas there's other avenues of people that will take more time, or more specialized that we don't even consider because, they're not in the doctor's office or, you know what I mean?
I do, absolutely.
Well, and I think too, it's just people being uneducated themselves and they don't know. And so there's also a fear base behind, like, if I have an answer for this, then I can get better. And so they want an answer, and sometimes it takes time to find that answer, and they're not, they don't have the patience or you just don't know. You just don't know what's wrong with me now. Or if it's taking longer for your spine to heal when you're going to chiropractic care, well, they didn't do anything for me. Well, I've been going to the gym for 6 months and I still have 20 pounds to lose, okay? Nobody tells me, well, just stop going. It should be better by now.
Well, I like to say,
Good point.
I like to tell people that chiropractic isn't designed to make you feel better instantly. It's designed to make you heal better instantly, right? The whole idea is that we put you in the best position to heal, not to fix you immediately. Now, we often see immediate results, right? Oh, my back was hurting, I got adjusted, and I could walk again, it was great. You hear those miracle stories, but that's not the norm. And so when you walk in, if you have unrealistic expectations, it's somebody's job, specifically ours, right, to make sure and communicate to you, this is the process, this is what this looks like, this, manage expectations. It's important to do that.
This has been some good information.
Yeah.
Really good information. We're going to stop for another quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Good morning, this is Leticia with Computer Hospital. We are your computer repair experts for both PC and Mac. We are your community resource for all of your computer repair needs. What makes us different is that we want to fix your computer. We also do free diagnostics. We charge a flat rate labor, which means that you won't pay by the hour. All of our computer repair is done in-house with a fast turnaround time, and same-day service is also available. Feel free to stop by anytime without an appointment. We're located in Sandy at 8721 South State Street. Again, that's 8721 South State Street, or call us at 801-987-3993. Again, that's 801-987-3993. This is Leticia with Computer Hospital, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hello there, this is Brad Neufeld with the Resilience Talk Network, and I would like to introduce to you Taffytown, one of our newest sponsors. Let me introduce you to Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek from Taffytown. We're proud sponsors of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Taffytown is a family-owned and operated business still operating in the Salt Lake City area for over 100 years. We manufacture some of America's best saltwater taffy.
What makes Taffytown stand out from all of the others?
We have a unique recipe, a whipped-style recipe that incorporates egg whites, evaporated milk, real sea salt. It's a unique product that is flavorful, melts in your mouth, and the best part is we probably have a flavor for anyone's liking, a flavor for any reason, for any season. We have unique flavors like chicken and waffles, maple bacon, frosted cupcake. New this year was a pineapple ghost pepper flavor.
That's awesome. Where can people find out more about Taffytown and all of its products?
You can check all of this stuff out. All of our products are available for sale on taffytown.com. We ship for free from our website, so all of our pricing on there is shipping included. Oftentimes we offer special promotions and discounts to our loyal customers, so do be sure to sign up for an account. And we look forward to seeing what we can do to make you smile with our taffy.
Where are you located?
We are currently located at 9813 South Prosperity Road in West Jordan, Utah, just at the foothills of the Copper Canyon mine.
Derek, taffy has always been a great gift to give. What are some of the creative ways Taffytown can help say thank you to others?
Yeah, if you're looking for gift ideas, whether to say thank you to friends or family, or maybe to your clients after such a difficult or successful year that you've had, you could look no further than to get a gift idea from taffytown.com. We offer pre-packaged gift boxes that say that it's saltwater taffy from the city of the Great Salt Lake, and it tells a little bit about the history of our community and making candy for so long. You can also do customized gifts to pick out just the right flavors or colors of candy for that special someone and deliver even a personalized message in that box to them. So please feel free to check out taffytown.com for any gift ideas this season.
Thank you so much, Derek. Please visit taffytown.com, that's taffytown.com, to find out more about the products and services that Taffytown offers. You won't be disappointed.
Do you know someone who's gambling with death due to an addiction? Do you know someone whose life is being turned upside down due to a loved one that's battling with addiction? Hi, I'm Al Richards. I am the host of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. I started the podcast due to my wife's battle with alcohol. Let's just say I became addicted to her addiction. Our podcast is helping people understand a little more about those who have battled addiction and those who are hurting from their addiction. Through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matter of the conscious and subconscious mind, continued beliefs, and often confusing paths of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. You can find us on Resilience Talk Network. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. That's Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look up the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Other Side of Addiction. We're here with our special guest, Dr. Taylor. Thank you for all this information that you've shared with all of us today. It's really, really good stuff. And yeah, I would really like to see more education, I guess, on the chiropractor when it comes to addiction. Because I believe this is really the first I heard about it. As I said, when I was pulling up your website and reading on it, I was like, really, really intrigued. That's why I reached out to you guys so quickly, going, yeah, you want to come on the show? Because it was like, this is so interesting of where this could go. And we've said, or you shared, it's not really out there. There's not a lot of chiropractors that even know about it, and nothing against them. It just hasn't gotten to that point. But I believe if we have a couple pioneers that start working that, I think pretty soon you're going to start seeing more and more of that happening. Because, and I could be wrong, but the way I see it is someone who's battling with addiction could use every flippin' tool that can possibly be given to them to help them. Even if it is something, not saying it's not hard, but really as easy as going and getting an adjustment and helping what's going on inside your body.
Yeah, well, we would love to be involved and to help in whatever avenue we can. Even just communication itself is so powerful, so that you can make an informed decision. Family members can be involved and friends. Yeah, I think it would be really good, and maybe that's something I should talk to you after the show. We have a summit that's coming up in August. Of course, it is going to be in St. George, but there's going to be some recovery centers that's going to be down there, and there's a few that's already gotten some booths. It's going to be there, but it gives you a chance to maybe get in front of some people. But yeah, start getting your foot in the door. If again, that's something. I'm not trying to shove this down your throat, but I would really like to see somebody start taking a little bit and start going down that road to see if we can help more of those that are battling the addiction, because it is a fight, every single day of their lives. Even if they're 20 years sober or clean, it's still a fight for them. So
I love how so many holistic options are coming up.
Oh yeah.
Before it was just, put them in a room, give them some pills, oh, you're doing pretty good, so now I'll send you back out. But I love all these holistic options. I love that there's a healthier way, not that the pills and all that aren't needed.
Yeah, there's times for them.
Definitely, for sure. But I love that the holistic is stepping forward and that there's those options, because
it is doing the healing from the inside out.
Yeah.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would think with you bringing that up, Janessa, I would think the two coincide, unless I'm wrong.
Oh yeah,
I would think the holistic stuff, because that's got to do with brain and thinking and your subconscious and conscious and your oh my gosh, what did Colby call it, the limbic system. And I would think it would fit right in with what you're doing, because Matter Behavioral, that's what they're doing, is they're using a lot of the holistic human technology to help with their clients that are coming in. So yeah, I think that would be a great fit. I'm glad that you brought that up. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's really great when you have a lot of options, because you can start from the least invasive, the simplest, the cheapest, right? Instead of having to jump to more extreme, expensive, costly, invasive procedures or treatments or whatever that looks like for your situation,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree. So I know that we talked, and I think we was off air when you said it, but your facility hasn't quite opened yet, right? You're still
Opening
working on it?
April 18th is our date to open. We got held
Okay.
back because of HVAC
Construction.
supply issues, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. Being in the concrete business, we ran into that a lot last year with, shortages and cost of everything going up. And your chiropractor that's Radical Chiropractic, right?
Radical Chiropractic Company, yeah.
Okay, and you're going to be in West Jordan.
West Jordan, Utah.
What is the location?
It's 7800 South, 5481 West.
Okay.
And that's right kitty corner to Smith's. It's a
right over there.
medical facility. There's a bunch of dentists in there with us.
Okay, so you guys are really close right there where the little roundabout is at, and you got the Maverick off to the side there.
That's right, just down the way.
Just down the ways from there.
Yeah, just a stone's throw. If you're real good, you could throw a rock and hit the facility.
Well, back in my days before all my shoulder injuries because of softball, I probably could, but not anymore. Yeah. If somebody, one of our listeners, or more than one of our listeners, is interested in contacting you, how could they find you?
Well, we're on Facebook and Instagram, Radical Chiropractic Company. RadicalChiro.com is our
Okay.
website. We'd love for you to reach out and talk to us if you have any issues or a family member that you think we'd be able to help with. You know, I mentioned throughout the podcast, but we're a family-based practice, family wellness-based practice, and we see not just men who injure themselves, but we love to see pregnant women and children take care of women in their pregnancy, perinatal care. I see, we have I did have a 5-week-old patient. She's 10 weeks old now, taking care of pregnant mothers. We love to help support that, make pregnancies easier and raise healthy children. It's just, we're trying to change the community, and it's so much easier to change and communicate when you're young, moving forward, right? Starting healthy habits now, eating healthy lifestyle habits, all those things. All my kids play sports and make sure that they're healthy. Want to make sure that their teammates are healthy. We're just really passionate about that. That's our goal, and what we want to do is help the community and change the community.
That's cool, and I like that you guys are looking at it that way. Because and again, I know the Browns. At Awaken Health, that's how they look at it. They just want to be there to help people and also make a change and make a difference. And I mean, you fit right in with all of us here because everybody here in the studio wants to do the exact same thing. We want to make a change. We want to take our bad experiences and educate people and get it out there in hopes that we're helping other people in whatever battles that they're going through. And having people like yourself on the show and we had Chris Doris on earlier today who shared some really good information about taking your mind back. And Matter comes in and they do a podcast on Tuesdays, and the information that they're sharing is just really, really good stuff. And hopefully the more this grows and we start getting it out there, hopefully we'll start seeing a huge change. But Janessa touched base on it too, and I think you did too, Shalise. There is a change happening. People are starting to open their eyes a little bit more, and there's still a lot of work left to do, but people are starting to
Doors
talk.
open.
Got to throw the pebble in the pond sometime.
Oh yeah, and why I believe this also so truly is because I don't know how many guests. I think it's been at least a half a dozen guests we've had on the show who have never ever shared their story before and have come on and shared their story for the very first time. And that takes a lot of guts.
Yeah.
It's taken a lot of guts for Janessa and Shalise to even come on the show as guests and share their story. And my wife Janan, and Sylvia, who is also here in the studio, taking care of the boards and the camera. It takes a lot of guts for people to come out and say, hey, this is who I used to be, or this is what's happened in my life, and it's time we get rid of, I don't know what they called them. I used them the other day. It's the 3 monkey thing, where you got the one like this, the one like that, and the one like that. But
hear no evil, speak no evil.
Yeah,
see no
yeah.
evil.
I think it's time we start pulling those hands away and
Awareness.
getting people awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yep, the awareness. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we sign off here?
The only thing is that I would love to, anyone that's interested in open to communicating, or us doing maybe a health talk, or coming into your office or your place of business, or if you have a men's group or women's group or anything like that, we would love to come in and talk about any sort of health issues that may be important to you or in general. We really are passionate about that and want to get out and be connected to the community. So if anyone's
Okay.
interested in that, please reach out to us. We'd love to do that.
Okay, and I'll talk to you after the show about some stuff that may help you with that on there. So
Awesome.
ladies, thank you again. Is there anything else you guys would like to share before we sign off?
Oh, that was excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to
Good
thank you
stuff.
guys again for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. An opportunity to talk
absolutely.
and meet you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all like just a big family here. Yeah, our family's growing. Yeah, I think we've outgrown the Brady Bunch now. So. Yeah, it's been really good. Hey, again, thank you to our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral Health, guys. Thank you so much for your support and all your love, and to all our listeners out there, man. We just, this is where I always get emotional. We just want to say thank you to everybody, because this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for all you and all our incredible guests and our co-hosts that come on the show. So thank you so much for your support, and a ton of our other sponsors. I mean, we've got, I could say on both hands, count on both hands, all the sponsors that we have who believe in what we're doing here in our cause. So thank you very much, everyone. And we're going to leave with this as we do at the end of every show. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing. Recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.